Hi, this is Todd with EsotericCarCare.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Rhopoint DOI meter. Rhopoint DOI meter. DOI, what that stands for is distinctness of image. What this does is this measures clarity of paint. Not just gloss, that is one of the things that it measures, but the clarity of paint. Most people kind of confuse the two and they assume what they're looking at as gloss. It's actually clarity that's making the difference. Here in a little bit, this is going to be a little bit of a lengthy video, but we'll get into how to use it and what areas we want to use it or what we can get out of it. But first I want to talk about the meter a little bit and how we came about the whole deal. In the detailing and paint correction industry, there's really nothing there to quantify the kind of results that people were getting or any testing from manufacturers or detailers or consultants or anything else. It was all very subjective. So what my eyes may see as not so good, somebody else's eyes may see it as great looking paint. There's a big difference between the two here, and this provides us a way to really tell the difference. You know, mathematics don't lie when it comes to something like this, and we can tell exactly what the paint is doing or how it's looking. So let me back up a little bit and tell you about how we came about this. We were working with an OEM car manufacturer on helping them increase their paint polishing techniques, efficiencies, and performance, and trying to bring some of the time down. And what they were using is an actual wave scan meter. They had a way to quantify exactly what was going on with the paint, and they're looking at some different parameters than what you will see in the DOI meter. But it all comes down to they're looking at flatness levels of paint, and with those numbers, that kind of dictates what your gloss and everything else and clarity is going to come out to. Well, we went in to do some demonstrations of our system versus what they were doing. They took a look, they did their three-step process, took the measurements with their wave scan tool, and then we came in, did just a two-step process, and we compared those numbers. And they were able to go in and see that our two-step process was achieving much greater quantifiable results than what they were getting with their three-step process. Long story short, we got the contract at that point to do training and product supply and so on and so forth, because we could quantify exactly the difference that we were making in the paint. So we got back from that. We sat down and tried to figure out, okay, we need to find a way so we can quantify our results in the shop, all the testing that we do, training, consulting work for other product manufacturers, and we found the DOI meter. A wave scan tool is a fantastic tool, but at $38,000, not many detailers are going to step up and buy something like that, or manufacturers of pads or polishes or polishers or what have you. So we found the Rhopoint DOI meter, and we also liked some of the measurements that it gave in comparison to the expensive wave scan. Now this one at $36.95, it's not an inexpensive piece of machinery, but it's way more affordable than the alternative out there, and quite frankly, the measurements that it gives me, I can use better than what that wave scan tool will do. So now, for $3,700, we have a way of getting exact measurements, exact results on any of our paint polishing, any of our testing, or anything that we're doing for training students. I can go in and say, based off of the numbers that we're getting, we are providing our students with the absolute best processes available. Zero subjectivity left in it at that point. And with this machine, you get a handful of measurements with it. You get DOI, distinctness of image. That's one that the paint manufacturers and the OEM manufacturers pay a lot of attention to. Then we also have RSPEC. RSPEC is specular reflectance. That really gives us a good indication of the flatness level of the paint, and one of the measurements that we use most. It also gives us two different angles of gloss readings. Usually we're just looking at one angle that's designed more for high gloss surfaces. They also have a $4,700 version of this that gives another angle. It's designed more for matte finishes. We're not really concerned with that, so we go down to the 2060 model. It's all you need for doing anything automotive paint related. Then we have haze. And what haze is, some people see it as swirls, or if you're doing paint polishing, particularly with a DA, you can be left over with some haze in there. This will give us a solid reading on exactly what that number is. Some people don't see haze like others. Here at ESOTERIC, when we're doing our testing, evaluating, and training, we're looking at paint at a very, very close angle with lights at different angles as well. That will show haze in the paint. We've seen a lot of work out there that from afar it looks good, but you get up close to it and you can see that haze is remaining. This will measure that. This also has a compensation adjustment in it, so if you're working with a high metallic paint, it can throw that number off. You switch over to haze compensation and it's going to calculate accordingly, so it's not throwing that number off. So you've got a wide variety of measurements that you can do with it to, depending on what area you're working on, what you're looking to get out of it. But in the end, you've got the ability to get quantifiable results on all of the polishing that you're doing. When we first picked this up, the first project that we worked on was our ESOTERIC Edition Z06. We wanted to go in to that project to make sure that we are creating the best possible finish on that car that we could. So with our meter, we were able to go in and test different processes and different combinations of processes to get us the absolute best results. And when we're talking about 3, 4, 5, 6% difference from one reading to the next, you may not pick that up with your eyes, but the machine does. So the way we look at it, if we can measure it, then we want to go with whatever the better the results are. On that particular vehicle, we had some areas that our specular reflectance number increased by 95%. And you think about that, 95% improvement on OEM paint is absolutely huge. Any event that we went to, we brought our Corvette to, and especially if there were other Corvettes, people ask what was so different about the car because it just glowed by comparison to any other paint that's out there. Well, we would have been able to get it looking really good without this machine, but with this machine, we knew we were able to take it to the next level and beyond, and we can back it up with mathematics. It's fantastic for projects like that, or any other major product or any other high-end car that we're working on. We can use this, and while our techniques and our products don't change that much, here we can verify it, we can test it against some other things that we may have in our arsenal, and we know exactly which direction that we want to go on it. You're working on a car like a Ferrari F40, you want to make sure that you're getting the most out of your polishing process as you possibly can. With this machine, you get exactly that. Okay, now I want to take a look at the DOI meter and why it stands out in the industry, particularly when trying to compare it to a standard gloss meter. A lot of people in our industry have used gloss meters to try to evaluate the kind of difference they're making on paint. Well, it gives you a nice little glimpse of what's going on with it, but it falls short significantly of really getting the good picture of exactly how good or not good a paint can look. For instance, and you take a look at the pictures that we're going to bring up on screen right now, the before photo and the after photo, they look completely different from one another, but they have almost identical gloss readings. I don't know of anybody who's going to say that the before photo looks better than the after photo. Now, if we measure that with our DOI meter, once again, the gloss readings are going to be about the same, but if I look at reflective image quality, if I look at specular reflectance, those numbers are going to be completely different because we've gone in and we've taken out the texture, we've flattened things out. So the numbers afterwards are going to show you clarity. Clarity is what makes the biggest difference, not the gloss factor, because those photos in particular, one of them is paint on a Corvette. We call that our crystal series that we do because we go in and we remove the texture without doing any kind of sanding on, and you can see it makes a massive difference. On the other, were side skirts off of our ESOTERIC Z06. In that case, we did sand it down just so we can see the difference that we're going to get out of it. On a small part like that, no big deal. If you sand it, something happens to it later on, it's easy to repaint. We wouldn't do that kind of sanding on OEM paint on the body itself. But once again, you can tell it's a huge, huge difference looking at it, and that's how our eyes perceive gloss. We're actually looking at the clarity numbers. So the difference between those two are huge, and this proves, with the kind of readings that we're getting out of it, it proves that just having a gloss meter alone, you're totally missing out. So if you're a manufacturer that's developing something, or if you're a detailer trying to get the best finish you possibly can, you're better off selling the gloss meter, investing in something like this, because this is going to show you the real results that you're getting out of it, and it can help you take it to the next level. Well, now I want to take a look a little bit of how you use the machine. It's pretty straightforward. This is nice. It's a magnetic base, so we can sit it on a workbench or a work cart. It's going to stick to it. It's not going to move around, and it also serves to protect the machine itself. When we're using it, we want to do it on as flat of a surface as possible. If you've got a curved edge or something, this is not going to work real well in those areas. So you want to stick to the vertical sides of the car, the hoods, trunk lids, roof, so on and so forth. You get it as flat as possible. The flatter it is, the better the reading that you get. Also, you want to make sure there's no vibration on the car. So if you're working with another person, if they're polishing on an area, wait for them to stop so you don't have the vibration in the car, so you get a more accurate reading. And all we're going to do is push the button for measurement. We wait for a moment while it makes its calculations, and we can take a look at our gloss, our reflective image quality, haze, specular reflectance, so on and so forth. Then, if you want to get the most accurate readings, what you can do is you do this in batches. For those of you familiar with paint thickness gauges, when you move around just a little bit, you can get a wide variance in readings. Same thing is going to happen with your gloss meter. So if I'm looking at an area this big, I can take, say, a half a dozen readings, and I can get averages. The nice thing about this too is I can record it in batches. I can upload it. It connects via Bluetooth to your computer. I can run everything in completely separate batches. So if I want hood readings and averages, I want roof readings and averages, so on and so forth, it's easy to program that into the machine. And by getting those averages, you get a better reading on exactly what's going on with the paint. So if I've got an area here and an area here, let's call the white section my almost a control. I haven't done any kind of polishing here. And maybe this section I've done a one-step, and here I've done a two-step. Or up here I can change around different pads and polishes. I can go around, I can take my readings, I can find before and after. I can see what kind of increases I get at each step. But having the ability to do batch readings is huge, because you're not going to be going around the car and stopping and measuring everything. You determine what works best for the vehicle, and you can go around and you can do batch readings before, batch readings after, upload that into a spreadsheet, and be able to see your average increases depending on what part of the car, because you're going to have some different number readings depending on where the paint laid down. Some areas it's going to lay flatter than others, and your readings are going to reflect that accordingly. But what you want to see is you want to see that consistency of increases with it. We've gone over a lot of information now, and we appreciate you sticking with us. Now we've got plenty more to talk about. We want to go into some of the areas that we can use this to get the most out of it. Now, from a detailer's perspective, one of the simplest ways to use this, or actually two simple ways to use this, one is to make sure that you're getting the best results that you possibly can. When you're doing your testing sessions or sections on a vehicle, relative to what that customer is wanting to accomplish. Let's say, for instance, if you're doing a one-step polish, well, you can try a couple of different products or techniques to find out what's going to give you the best results for that car, for that customer, relative to what they were wanting to get out of it. Also, what the detailer can do is you can provide those results to your customer, particularly during the process. I know customers that have loved to receive text messages. We show a before and after picture with these readings and say, hey, increasing clarity by 39%. Customers love seeing those kind of things. And you may look at that and say, well, just as a way to show my customer, it's kind of hard to justify $3,700 for it. That is true. We're going to go into some more ways that you can get more out of it. And it all goes back to the testing process. For us, when we're using it here, if we're working with different pads, companies send us pads to test out. We get different polishes, different compounds, or we want to try different techniques. Each paint system reacts a little bit differently. Even from one manufacturer, different colors are going to react differently. So we can go in and we can evaluate what is going to work best, what is going to give us the best quantifiable results on there. So you as a detailer, when you're out working with it, you get a chance to go in and make some decisions on what's going to work best for you relative to what level of service that you're doing for your customer. Takes the guesswork completely out of it, and then it also sets you up much higher position than what any of your competitors are, because you've got the ability to back it up mathematically. We like to use, when we're posting things up on social media, the hashtag meter verified, because we know we are getting the best. It's quantifiable results. It's not subjective. You know, the days of detailing industry of looking back going, yeah, it looks good. Those days are gone now that we have something like the Rhopoint DOI meter here, because it takes that guesswork completely out of it. So you can use this for developing your systems. You can use it for working on your techniques. You can use it to figure out which of your products that you have in your arsenal are working better than others. And by that, you can gain efficiencies by narrowing down some of the products, tools, and pads that you use. Here in our shop, I can do 95%, or we can do 95% of everything we do with just 3 pads, 1 compound, and 1 polish. We have narrowed it down to a system that works best and most consistent across many, many paint systems. And we have students that come in here to the ESOTERIC Elite Detailer Academy, and we work with them on a system of polishing. It's not just the techniques, it's a system that includes specific combinations of products and all. We've spent the time to go through lots of different products and figure out what works best. And then most of the guys that leave here, they say, I'm throwing away half the stuff that I have, because you find that you don't need it. We have gone through those efforts to figure out what works best. And the same thing, we're offering it up here in our store. We don't offer every product that's out there. We don't need a dozen different kinds of polishes and compounds and 15 different kinds of quick detailers. We go in, we evaluate the products before we decide what we're going to sell. We find out what works best, what works most consistent, and we're also taking a look at ease of use. So if you're buying from us in our store, you know that we're doing it a bit different than other stores that are out there. If we're making videos about it, we're offering products up, you know that we have got the numbers or hashtag meter verified to determine what products that we're going to offer to our customers. So you can rest assured knowing that when you're making your purchasing decisions with Esoteric Car Care, we've done the homework behind it. And another way that we use it, and other detailers can use it, is with paint protection film. When somebody is sending us a $1 million car, or if somebody is just bringing their daily driver and they want their car to look the absolute best, if we are doing multi-stage polishing on it, getting that car look fantastic, the last thing we want to do is put a paint protection film on the surface that detracts from the looks significantly. So we can, like this test panel right here, we had it painted, it was sanded flat, so we have that as a control with different colors. And we test out different paint protection film, put it on here, take our measurements, and we keep a logbook of all the different manufacturers of what's what. and we can determine what is going to give us the best clarity. Because in the end, most paint protection film, they're good quality, they've got good warranty on them, they protect against rock chips, but the differentiator from one to the next in our eyes and our customers' eyes is what has the best clarity. So once again, we're taking the guessing game completely out of it. And for paint protection manufacturers, I recommend that they buy one of these too, because it will help them develop better products. The paint protection film industry has switched a lot to the detailer, and the detailer is going to have a lot better eye on those kind of things than if that's all they do is paint protection film. So in our case here, we're working with film that gives us the best clarity numbers that we can possibly get. So you can quantify your results. You can get paint protection film that is going to be clear for your customers, and you can share that information with other customers. And then for us here at ESOTERIC, other ways that we use it, as I said, we use it to test and evaluate. So if a company wants to come to us for consulting work or to help with product development, we've got the tools, we've got the testing experience to go in there, figure out what works best and how to get the most out of a product. We've tested other systems, we've tested a lot of products, we've had stuff come in and find out, hey, this just isn't working as well as XYZ. And when it comes to techniques, we can test that out, work with different companies to find better ways so that they can teach their customers on it. If you're even looking at stuff like, should I prime a pad, should I not prime a pad, whatever else, this will tell you what you're going to get the best results with. Whether you're working with different speeds, different pressures, different kind of compounds, this is going to tell you exactly what's going to work best. Going back to the example of priming versus non-priming, we don't prime our pads here at ESOTERIC. #meter verified. It tells us that it's not necessary. We don't need to use that extra product because we're gaining nothing in the process with it. So we can work with manufacturers to figure out processes to help them with development of their products. And we recommend manufacturers out there, if you're manufacturing polishes, compounds, pads, tools, or you're doing anything to try to train others out there, without something like this, it is simply guesswork. You have nothing to use as a reference. This is that control measure, so to speak, and it will raise the bar of this industry or anybody working with automotive paint finishes. And that's what we're hoping to do with this. Is I'm not here to sell a bunch of DOI meters. Granted, if you want to buy them from us, we'll gladly sell them to you, but it's about raising the level of education, understanding, raising the performance of the industry. And when I say the industry, I mean everybody from the weekend warrior to the professional detailer to the manufacturer of the goods that everybody worked with. Because once we agree that we need to take the guesswork out of it and go with proven results, then we're on our way to take the detailing industry to a much higher level and do it with more respect, because we have a way of quantifying what we're doing. So as you can see, there's a lot of different ways that you can use a tool like this, whether you're a weekend warrior, whether you're a detailer, or whether you are a manufacturer in the paint refinishing or detailing industry. Very, very useful, and we're happy to have found this product, and we did, because it just helps us elevate everything that we're doing, from our detailing studio to our Elite Detailer Academy to esotericcarcare.com, where we're offering all our products, tools, and techniques. So normally I would tell you to go onto our website and take a look at reviews that others have left behind. We're not selling these daily, so you're probably not going to find that. But if you have some other information or questions or whatever that you want to leave, go ahead and do that, or contact us through our website. If you're a manufacturer that wants some information on it, or wants help in finding ways to develop your testing and evaluation system, we're here to help. And we'd definitely be thankful for the opportunity to get involved with whatever kind of project that you have. So that's about it. I know this is a long video. There's a lot of information about this product. Definitely appreciate you taking the time to go through it with us. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're constantly updating videos on new products, tools, and techniques. So for the Rhopoint DOI meter, esotericcarcare.com, I'm Todd Cooprider. Thanks. We'll see you again next time.